If I could have your attention here in the Media Center, we'll continue on with today's Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series media availability. And we're joined now by Dale Earnhardt Jr., driver of the number 88 Mountain Dew SA Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. And Dale, that paint scheme looks pretty nifty. Can you talk about the Dew SA paint scheme this weekend?
Yeah, it's a good-looking car. Yeah, Mountain Dew's got a summer promotion with this Dew SA flavor. They've mixed Code Red, Whiteout, and Voltage together. We did a little commercial shoot a couple months ago at Hammerhead, which was a lot of fun. And we got a little infomercial that we shot, and that'll be fun for everybody to take a look at. But it's good. I've tasted it out. Pretty awesome. And only 170 calories. That's pretty good. Anyhow, yeah, the car looks great. And this first practice, I thought it was a lot of fun to drive, and didn't mind their lap times too much. So we'll see what we got this second practice.
Okay, we're going to start here with Chris, and then we'll work our way around the room.
Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Dale, practice there looked like it got a little hairy there. How close was it, and how's your car this weekend?
It was real close. That'd have been a backup for sure. You know, I looked up there and against the fence, looks like the trucks has been up there, and there's some rubber down, so I thought it was pretty clean. But we went up there, and it was a little dusty for whatever reason. But the car, you know, that's where we're going to race. It seems like, you know, this track's grayed up quite a bit. Good age on the surface. And it'll continue to get even funner and wider. It's pretty wide as it is. But so I wanted to try to get up there as soon as I could and see how our car drove, so we didn't find out anything in the race that we didn't already know. And we'll get to practice a little bit more and see how that goes. Right now, we're kind of running in the middle of the track, and that'll change a little bit. And that won't really be what we're doing in the race. In the race, I think we'll be up at the top or at the bottom.
We're going to go to the left here to Rich, and then up front to Todd.
Dale, Rich Culver with Motor Racing Network. Next week, moving forward a little bit, All-Star race, your final one. Any strategy to win that thing? Have you guys talked about that? You guys worked on any strategy?
Nope, not really. I forgot how it all works. But I think it's you know, stage winners get in, and there's only going to be 10 guys in the last stage, and it's they'll fill it out by average finishing position and all that. So we'll see if we get the luck of the draw and get in there. They're going to have a soft tire, which should be interesting to see just how much better that is, and whether that's really going to make a big difference versus the guys that are on a hard tire. And just should be a fun weekend. It's pretty low key. We got some friends coming into town, and there's folks that we met on our honeymoon. So gonna have a good weekend, and hopefully the race goes good.
We'll go next to Todd, then to Reed, then to Lee, then to Nick.
Hey Dale, Todd Palmer, Kansas City Star. I'm sure you've answered this question a few times now, but with your announcement, and there's been a lot of other guys who've left, Jeff, Carl, guys like that, what do you think about these young guys coming up, and who do you see as the next wave of guys that are going to become big names in the sport? Well,
Larson's a big name now, but he's going to be a guy that'll be around for very, very long time, and very talented, going to have tons of success, championships and all that good stuff. Chase is already a star, and once he starts, you know, winning multiple races, his the fans' awareness of him outside of the sport will grow, and he'll become a household name if he's not already outside of the sport. You know, you're going to have guys that can kind of reach beyond the grandstands and grab new fans, and they're doing a lot of good things. You know, they took a group of them to New York City, and I know you know, a couple of them guys like doing that stuff, a couple of them don't. I never really did either when I was young, so I can't say too much, but those are the things that are really help us connect our new guys to new fans and old fans as well. They got to get out there and promote themselves, and NASCAR realizes that, and they're creating opportunities for those guys to do that. Blaney is a natural. He loves promoting the sport. He's great on social media. He says yes to anything. So he's the kind of guy that's a sponsor's dream. Got a great personality and doesn't mind going anywhere and everywhere to talk about, you know, what he's doing. And, you know, they need guys like him. You know, he'd be a great example, I think, for a lot of guys to look at and understand kind of how they need to be or how they need to engage. And there's some guys that do it really well, and there's some other guys that are great drivers, great people, just a little bit shy or maybe not quite as into the social media thing. I mean, I didn't join till just recently, so you know, there's a lot of guys like that that sort of don't want more on their plate, and they look at it as a job or work. But it's pretty important, I think, that we just kind of promote these guys the best we can, and there's some of them that make it really easy.
Go next to Reed, then to Lee, then to Nick, then to Randy.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Dale, as you go through the rest of this year, is there one bucket list place where you would like to pick up a victory more than any other?
Yeah, the 600 would be awesome. It's our, you know, Charlotte's our home track, and haven't won a points race there. So I'd like to win there. But there's a long list. You know, any of them that we haven't won at would be great. Any win this year, right, would be good. So, but if I had to pick, Charlotte, you know, would be winning the 600 would mean a lot. I always went to that race as a little kid. So I like to win at the places where I spent tons of time at growing up, and that was one of them. Yeah, I mean, you know, if we want to get particular, we got to get in the chase first to worry about that.
Go to Lee.
LeeSpencerMotorsport.com. Can you talk about how this track has changed since the repave, and do you prefer it?
Oh yeah. Well, you know, the new asphalt's not always a lot of fun. Really narrow groove, hard to get rubber laid down. And if you get outside of that groove, it's real treacherous. You saw Texas was pretty bad, but they, you know, it was the best case scenario because of the work they did all week at Texas. But think about how Michigan used to be when it was repaved, very single groove, and can't pass when there's only one way around the track. So this place is, the color of the asphalt's changed quite a bit. It's gotten slicker and a little more abrasive, and we move up and run against the wall, run in the middle, run the bottom, and drivers love to have options. You know, if the car's not working perfectly in the groove they're in, they can move around, and an old racetrack or old service like that gives you that chance. You can't go moving around on new asphalt, just spin out and wreck. So I think everybody loves it. I certainly didn't hate the old track, and as far as the configuration, but I like banking and like running against the wall, and we can do that here.
I got a quick follow-up on three-generation driver families, such as yourself, as the Pettys, the Andrettis. What is it about families with, you know, what takes a family to have that, other than sons, you know, until maybe Danica this year, but what takes a family to have that kind of staying power in a sport? Well,
you get lucky, I think, but certainly when you're in this sport and you have children, it gives them opportunity to grow up around this environment. Whether they plug into it and find it interesting and want to, you know, pursue a career in it, it's up to them. But sometimes they do, and that's what you get. You know, you get another generation that gets in there and becomes, you know, falls in love with it and becomes a big part of it. And sometimes you get that, you know, you get that happening generation after generation. I mean, obviously, when, you know, the chances of your son or having a son or even a daughter, but more so the sons. I mean, they're going to want to race, whether they can drive or not. And you know, so you go over to Millbridge, and you'll recognize everybody over there. They got all their sons over there racing, some of their daughters even, and it's pretty impressive. So there's a lot of guys that want to race. Just some of them don't even get the breaks or don't have the talent. And if you get both, then you get to stick around, and that's how you develop the generations of successful families.
Go Nick, Randy, Claire, and then we'll end with Maggie.
Nick Bromberg, Yahoo Sports. As an owner, when you're not racing in an Xfinity Series race and you have 5 cars, how is the nerve level like for you? What's your feeling the first couple hours for that race versus getting in the car on a Sunday for a Cup Series race?
I'm not too nervous in Xfinity races until the end, especially the last couple of weeks. It's been real difficult. I'm telling you, it's been. I ain't been so sick in my stomach after races as an owner as I have these last two, with the way the cautions have fell for us. But and you get angry and you know you're just as angry as you can be for about an hour, and then you kind of calm down, try to talk yourself out of it. But yeah, I look at it as it's a real pleasure to be in the series. We're so fortunate to have the health in our company to be able to have those 4 full-time teams and a 5th car every once in a while. You know, I just like it's a way to be involved and a way to be part of the sport. So, you know, when the race starts, I'm not sitting there biting my nails like, man, how are we going to do today? It's just like, man, we're here, we're made it, we unloaded them all, they're in the race, they're starting, this is great. And then when it gets down to the end, you might about win one. That's when you start to get nervous. And when I drive, well, you talking about driving Cup or Xfinity for myself? Cup, yeah. When I drive Cup, I put a ton of pressure on myself, and it's not quite as relaxing and easygoing.
Claire?
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I was thinking a lot about the young guns and all the questions we get at all the tracks. And I was thinking about the first time that I interviewed, a group of us did, you when you were very young and you were just getting into Cup, and the whole time you sat there you looked at your shoe and sort of looked down. And I can remember you picking at your shoe and you didn't say much. How did you develop when we think of these young drivers? Certainly you had a lot to say. Maybe you thought that people didn't want to hear what you had to say, but no one was pulling at you to go social, or how did they encourage you? How did you kind of come out to be who you are today, a superstar?
Oh, well, you know, the social part of it was working with Jimmy. Jimmy was adamant and coaching me and telling me how it's useful and why I would want to do it, you know. None of the other drivers or anyone else for that matter was really pushing me to go in that direction. And he's like, man, I know you're going to like this. This is something cool. And he's, you know, it's been a great experience to understand, you know, the social side of it, not just Twitter, but of a lot of other aspects of it as well. And I don't know, you know, when I first started racing, I didn't want to do anything but drive. I didn't want to go do appearances. I hated doing appearances and photo shoots and all that. I just thought that was just so boring. I didn't really understand how important they were, how critical they were to the marketing and the happiness of the partner. And, you know, I think maybe owning a lot of different things sort of playing a role of maturing you, and owning the Xfinity teams taught me a ton about how to, you know, what partners want, think, what they like, don't like, what they need from the driver, what they need from the owners, and certainly shaped my opinion and changed it on how I approach those things. You know, I don't think I was impossible, but I you know, there were days when I was hard to work with or hard to deal with, and I didn't want that reputation. You know, when I finished driving, I want people to say that I was fun to be with, fun to work with, and came in with a great attitude, did a good job, whether it's a photo shoot or a commercial shoot or a meet and greet or whatever. And I didn't care about that when I was younger. I didn't think about those things. I just thought, I like racing. I want to drive. I don't want to do nothing else. I want to go lay on the couch and eat Doritos and drink Mountain Dew and drive race cars. You know, that's all. Yeah. But I grew up, and it just took me a long time to figure all that out. And I just think being around Jimmy, Rick, my sister, just being around people that have told me this thing, you know, told me certain things time and time again, it starts to click, and you realize the right way to be and treat people and do things. And still not perfect, still got a lot of things I can do better, but I don't know how you get a young gun, to come out of his shell, you know. And there's some guys that just don't want to. You know, look at Jimmy. Like, Jimmy has his limitations to what he wants to do outside of, you know, he's a lot of y'all know him well, and the perception that we have of Jimmy as a person versus what a lot of people know is different, and that's up to him. You know, that's on him, and he wants it that way. I talk to him like, man, you ought to do a podcast. Nah, I don't want to do that. You know, he just don't want to do it. He's like, I'm no interest, you know. And what he's got going on as far as how much he exposes himself is that's where he wants it. He doesn't want to be more than he is to everyone. So it really comes down to the drivers just having that eagerness and like I was saying with Blaney, he's incredibly eager and loves going and doing new things, and he'll do any TV show or whatever. And you know, the other guys are quite, you know, not quite that interested in it. They're more, you know, focused on just the car and driving. And I've worked so hard to get to this point, and what, you know, I don't want to do all the other stuff. It does matter, but it matters, especially now. I mean, it's changed tremendously as far as what sponsors ask of you. The agreements to our sponsorships have changed incredibly as far as what our responsibilities are and what they need. And obviously, I mean, we talk about it all the time, and I say it all the time, but social media is a big draw. I mean, people want people that are active on social media, and it's changed a lot. You got to change with it.
You know, I got two quick things, Randy Kovitz, and this is for USA Today. Number one, we haven't heard you talk about, my first question is, we haven't heard you talk about the home show on
Oh, yeah.
DIY. Just tell us, what's your role going to be in decorating?
Well, all right. So I've been wanting to talk about this because I think everybody's got a little bit different idea, but we bought this property in Key West a long time ago. We didn't know what to do with it, and I was trying to figure out a way to renovate it but stay reasonable on our expense. And so we also had some friends that we knew at the DIY Network and HGTV, and we reached out to those guys and said, hey, you know, we really want to renovate this property. There's a kind of a cool process that you go through in Key West with the Historic Foundation on how you can renovate homes down there and what you can fix and can't fix. And like if you have a rotten board, they only let you replace the rotten area, and you got to keep the rest. And they go through the whole house, sort of picking apart what you can and can't fix. So I was thinking this would make a great show. I had not, you know, I think people connect this to the retirement, and it's absolutely not connected in any way. We were talking to them 2.5 years ago about how to, you know, could we do this? Would this be interesting to them? Would I have the time to do it? And we finally, you know, finally got it agreed upon to put it together. It's going to be 4 episodes, and it's not going to take a ton of my time, but I'm definitely want to be involved, and Amy and me will both be involved quite a bit. And yeah, it just kind of connects to trying to renovate this home in a financially responsible way, and the show helps us do that. And that's the end of it. I never I mean, I don't know what comes of it afterwards, or where this might what this might be a springboard to, and we're certainly open to anything. But that's really the story from the top to the very bottom of it. There's no hidden agenda.
You said Stewart. Is that STUART or
Huh?
STE? You said something about Stewart, the Stewart Foundation?
No?
I think-
Historical, sorry.
I misunderstood you.
Yeah, sorry.
Like Stewart.
The historical folks, the folks down there, that
Okay.
are in charge of the old town, they don't like you you can't just demolish houses. They want everything to look the same, look like it's been for 100 years, and so they don't let you.
Okay, I just didn't hear that one.
No problem.
And finally, the other thing is, just to touch on the All-Star race, you've won it once, and is this now kind of like the first of your lasts? This is going to be your
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So how does that play into your mind? This is the last of something now for the first time.
I think sometimes throughout the year that'll be pretty interesting to me, and sometimes maybe not so much. I was reading some emails from Kerry Tharp today about Darlington and the throwback, and he said some pretty nice things to me about my support of the track and the throwback weekend and all that. And so, you know, when I go to Darlington for the last time, that'll be pretty interesting. It's a love-hate relationship with that place. So hopefully she treats me good this last time. The All-Star race, you know, I think the All-Star race has changed. It's almost unrecognizable to what it was when I was a kid, and its history and legacy is a little bit different for me than it might be for somebody else or somebody new in the sport. Whereas Darlington, to me, has never really changed, and it's always been Darlington. And so I really dig into that nostalgia, and so that will be a more emotional experience, I think, than an All-Star weekend. But you know, there'll be a lot of things like that throughout the season, and I'm excited about that. And I love. It's been an emotional roller coaster that's been a lot of fun to be on.
Folks,
Thank you.
I hate to cut this short, but he's got to get to practice, and we will be back with Jamie McMurray at 2:15. Thanks.